Hello, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassidy. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today is a very exciting video. It is TBR time, so we will be playing my TBR game, which is Snakes and TBR Stacks. This is a Snakes and Ladders inspired TBR game. I will have the playlist linked down below, but it's pretty self-explanatory. If I hit a ladder, it's got a reward prompt, and I move up. If I hit a snake, I add another roll and I go down. Pretty much all the rules you need to know. During this TBR, I will obviously be setting up my TBR for Realmathon, which if you don't know, I host a readathon in April called Realmathon. It is a lot of fun. It is team-based, and this year it is genre-based. We compete as teams to become the last realm standing. You do this by reading books that either are positive points and give your realm a boost, or you can read books that are negative prompts and they attack another realm and they take away the points of another realm, which I just think is a lot of fun this year. As I said, it's genre-based, so we have bonus prompts for your team genre, for hybrid genres, and for indies. The whole announcement video will be linked down below, but if you are a horror or thriller reader, or a sci-fi or nonfiction reader, if you're a fantasy reader, or if you're a romance reader, there's definitely a team for you. I put a lot of thought and effort into Realmathon. There is a map, there is lore of each of the worlds, and I just think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So if you're interested, you can check out the announcement video and sign up. We have a Discord, it's very community-based, and just a whole stinking lot of fun. Which is why this TBR is coming a little bit early, because one of the prompts for Realmathon is to steal a book off an enemy's TBR. I'm kind of a wild card because I don't have a realm and I'm reading for all 4 of the realms. I'm doing a week of each realm. If you want, you can steal a prompt from my TBR, no matter what realm you're in. Just putting it out there. So before we start, we have to talk about last month. And guys, I completed my TBR last month, which is just incredible. I haven't done that in so long, I feel like. Which means I get 5 rolls instead of 6, and my 6th book can kind of just be a mood read since I tend to read more anyways. I did have a lot of DNFs, but I did complete it. I don't have a lot of mandatory reads this month. I pretty much have Promise of Blood only, which is the backlist book club pick, so I'm hoping I can get that on this TBR. But we do need to do my Cup of Chaos pick. If you don't know, my top tier patrons all get to put 2 books into this, and I choose bi-monthly a book out of this cup to read. Well, actually 2 books because of the way I do it. So let's see what is in here. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what is making so much noise? Why do I have dice in here? Okay. I'm so scared. We're gonna go with this one. Oh no, it looks scary. Well, it is the month that I have to read romance anyways. So, Melissa. She chose for me between Wrath and Mercy or Bloody Heart, and I am not going to commit to either of these at this moment in time because I do have 2 months to read. I think it'll depend on my mood throughout the 2 months which one I read. Honestly, a good time because I have to read romance this month and I have to read romance next month for something that we all know called Smut Den. So, good time to pick Melissa's pick. Thanks, Melissa, for putting this in, and I will need a new second pick from you at some point. Let's get into the rolls now. We start on Illustrated Spine. That's where we ended last time. Oh my. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A romance. The 1 month I actually want this. So roll 1, we started off with romance, which again, perfect month for me to land on romance, since I have a week of reading romance happening in April, and obviously you're going to see some sneak peeks at my plans throughout this video. I have a whole other TBR video coming for Magical Readathon as well. For romance, I'm picking A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I absolutely adored the From Blood and Ash series. I had stopped when the prequel came out because I'm not the biggest fan of having to read another series in order to read the real series. And obviously with the 3rd book letting us all down, I just kind of procrastinated, but I think it's the time. I have to read romance anyway, so why not do a fantasy romance that I enjoy? Everyone has said that this series is better than what is happening in the From Blood and Ash series now, so I'm excited to dive into it. It's a chonker, so we'll see how much I get through in the romance week, but I am excited to do this. If you don't know, I don't really know what this one follows, but the From Blood and Ash series follows Poppy, who is a maiden, and what that means is that she can't be touched, she can't like have pleasure, she can't enjoy those kind of parts of life because she is going to a higher purpose, but she ends up with a new guard who makes her question those things. And it's just like a fabulous fantasy romance. I love the banter in it. This, I believe, follows like the first maiden to ever exist, and maybe some more gods and stuff, and a lot of lore that we found out in book 3 and stuff. So I'm excited to get to this. Also, just so that I can continue from Blood and Ash, because I have to read this, and then the Force from Blood and Ash, and then the next book in this series, and things like that. So yeah, this one is going on the list. I'm excited to finally get to it. I know, Lizzie, if you're watching this, you're going to be very excited, since Lizzie's gifted me like every book in the series, being like, please read now. Roll 2. 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blurbed. And roll 2 led us to Blurbed. And this prompt leads me astray a lot of the time, because I don't know if I think the blurbs are correct most of the time. But what this prompt means is that I have to read a book that is blurbed by one of my favorite authors, or an author I've loved from before in general. Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman. This is a horror book, and it is blurbed by Riley Sager, and I have given a Riley Sager 5 stars before. Also given a Riley Sager 1 stars before. But I still count him as one of my favorite authors, because I'm always excited to pick up what he writes next. It says, devilishly good, you'll keep turning the pages even as your hands shake. I'm here for it. Clay McLeod Chapman is a previous 5-star author for me. I read Ghost Eaters earlier this year in a vlog, and I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it, and I cannot wait to read what his new release is this year. But this is a backlist. I don't really know much about this book, and when I go into horrors, I tend to like to know a little bit less about them. I do know that this follows the Satanic Panic era. It just looks really creepy on this cover with the kids and the pentagram and everything. I follow Richard, who is also Sean, and as a kid, Sean did some terrible things, I believe, and as an adult, Richard just pretends his past doesn't exist, but there is someone who says they know what he did in his past, and something like that. And I don't know, I just trust Clay McLeod Chapman now, after reading Ghost Eaters, that this is going to be fabulous. Very excited to get to this when I'm reading for Team Sanctum in my horror week. 11. It's a big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Royals. And our next roll landed on Royals, which is not my favorite prompt. I don't know why I keep putting it on the board. It's a hard one. And for this one, I picked Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. I'm actually hoping to read this for Peace Talks, which is a 48-hour readathon within Realmathon, where we get extra bonus points for reading books within the 48 hours. So we pick up a lot more smaller books in this. This is a fantasy novella by Fonda Lee, who also wrote the Greenbone Saga, which is beloved here on BookTube. I'm not going to talk about my thoughts on it, but it's beloved here on BookTube. I have the Goodreads up on my phone because I don't know a lot about this. We follow Esther, whose family was torn apart when a manticore killed her mother and baby brother, leaving her with nothing but her father's painful silence and a single overwhelming need to kill the monsters that took her family, which leads her to the King's Royal Muse, which I'm guessing is the King's Royal Army, that hunt down these manticores. And she's paired with a fledgling rock named Zara. There's some fantastical creatures in here, and we learn a lot. Apparently this book is a lot about obsession and things like that, and I'm really interested to see the themes that come out in this. Just like in the Greenbone Saga, Fonda Lee does do themes and stuff really well, so I'm excited just to see what pairs there. It's just a short novella. This comes out April 11th. I do have an arc of it, but I will get to it during Peace Talks, which is the 15th, 16th, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Everything will be in the announcement video. Roll 4. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Start a series. And then our next roll got to start a series, which this is actually the month where I was like, man, I don't want to start a bunch of series because of a bunch of standalones for the other realms that I'm participating in, since I'm not just reading fantasy this month. But it happens to be the start of a series for Backlist Book Club, The Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan. This is the pick for Backlist Book Club, which is my book club. We read a book bi-monthly. So April we'll read Promise of Blood, and then June we'll read the Crimson Campaigns, and then August we'll read the last book. And we're starting in April for Promise of Blood. The live show will be in early May. This follows a world where we have just overthrown the king, and we follow our protagonist, who has to deal with the fact that he overthrew the king, and he can't just leave the kingdom to fail, because that's what it will do. So he's kind of picking up the pieces, and there's a lot of political intrigue. This world does have guns in it, which I think is going to be fun. It's a flintlock fantasy. There is a magic system that has somewhat of a basis on cooking, I believe, because the author does love cooking, and I'm just very excited to get to this. We do have a Discord for Backlist Book Club, and I do also have an Instagram and a Twitter if you would like to follow along with us, and all our previous series have live shows that are in a playlist on my channel. Very, very excited for this one, and let me know down below if you will be reading along with us. Also, if you know that me and Backlist don't always get along, so I'm very excited and hope that this is a win for us. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I spoke too soon. Kindle, but also a snake, so down there. And then we got Kindle, which I don't do this a lot, but because I am participating obviously in Realmathon, but I'm also participating in Magical Readathon and Old School April, I'm leaving Kindle up. I'm not putting a set book on here. I never do this because that's kind of what the mood read is. But if I just read something on my Kindle that is not a book already set on this TBR, I will count that. I read a lot of books on my Kindle. I will hopefully try to read a KU because I feel like that's why I created this prompt, or an indie that I own. I'm leaving that open and flexible for myself because I just want the flexibility this month, and it's my game, so my rules, and I hope that you all are okay with that. But also, this was a snake, so we had to do another roll, which sucks, and I feel like I'm cheating the system by letting myself do this, but like, it's just happening, okay? It's just happening. Roll 6 it is. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, multi-POV. And then our last roll was multi-POV'd, which I had the hardest time figuring out a multi-POV'd book. There was a lot of rearranging in my TBR to find this. I only have 7 days of reading fantasy, and I have to read Promise of Blood, which is chunky. I had to look in other genres to find multi-POV'd, which was really hard, and then it didn't work out that way. So we're picking a book that I think I will binge through within my fantasy week. We're picking the Aurelian Cycle. This is the second book in the series, Flamefall. I read the first book earlier in my vlog that it was reading the dragon books that I picked. I can link that down below. I'm always linking so much. And I absolutely adored it, 5 stars, so I'm eager to continue. So why I'm putting the Aurelian Cycle and not Flamefall on is I might get to Flamefall before the end of this month. I am recording this quite early, so I do still have time in the month to read, and I might get to this one, but if I get to this one, I won't be getting to the last book in the trilogy, so I will read the last book if I read this one. So either the second or the third book in the Aurelian Cycle will go on. If you don't know, the Aurelian Cycle starts with Fireborn, which is about our 2 protagonists who are orphans and they grow up together. They are best friends, and slowly as they grow up, class and privilege and things like that start to come in between them, because one of them is the son of the old regime. He is kind of meant to rule, and one of them is a peasant, bottom of the totem pole civilian. They're meant to be on equal footing within the new regime, but it doesn't always seem that way, and it's just like a wonderful, wonderful series about privilege and government and propaganda and corruption of power and things like that, and I really, 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 really enjoyed the first book, so I'm very excited to continue. Okay, there we have it, my Snakes and TBR stacks. TBR. Also 2 books on top will have the Fonda Lee and the Kindle book on top of this, and if I get around to reading Melissa's picks this month, it'll go on, but I have 2 months to read that, so that's not like a big priority. I actually think that this is really doable. I mean, I have a lot of other things planned. I have a whole other TBR and you'll see a lot more insight as well into my reading plans in that one, because yeah, I'm very excited to do 7 days with 4 different genres. I hope everybody loves Realmathon. Also, if you aren't already participating, that announcement video will be in the description bar below, but I'd also love for you to check out Magical Readathon and Old School April, which is created by Kelsey, who is Slime and Slashers. It is a readathon about reading like 80s, 90s horror, and also there's like watch-along parts to it. It's a lot of fun. I'm participating in all 3. I know I'm crazy, but I made Realmathon a readathon that could work for many readers, and I think the way Realmathon works, it does work to also have another readathon with it, because pretty much every book counts for things in Realmathon. Like, you get points for just the page count of your book. So it works perfectly fine. And I really hope that you enjoy. I'm so excited for April. Honestly, I'm just trying to keep my energy like bubbled inside, but yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a mushroom emoji. I think there has to be a mushroom. And then if you'd like to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon are all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable